From the 2017 Western Governors Association winter meeting in Phoenix, Arizona, I'm Chris Berry, along with Governor Butch Otter from the great state of Idaho.
Right.
So, Governor, you're here with the Western governors. These are
Right.
people who have unique ideas, unique perspectives, but they also have some commonalities. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're talking to about the governors here
Sure.
and what those common issues are?
You bet, Chris. And thanks for the opportunity to do this, because I would tell you that we have a lot more in common than we have with our particular state. And we usually address every one of those issues as, if I do this in Idaho, how does that affect Steve Bullock in Montana, or Matt Mead in Wyoming, or Dennis Dugard in South Dakota, or Doug in North Dakota, or any other state? How does that? And so I would have to tell you that we have been, first off, the Western Governors Association, there's an opportunity to belong to a lot of different governors associations. And I would tell you that, at least in my perspective, over 11 years, and I served as chairman, a term as chairman, I should say, during my first term as governor. This is the best governors organization. You get more bounce for your buck.
Why is that?
With that, well, first off, it's nonpartisan. Second, everybody is directed at solving the problem. And I would have to say, if I see, especially under the Trump administration, if I can use two words about the Trump administration, it's renewed federalism. We can call the White House on any issue, whether it's education, corrections, health and welfare, public lands, you name it. We call the White House, we get a call back.
And that doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican?
No. Steve Bullock can tell you the same thing. Almost any governor,
Steve Bullock from Montana
would tell you, John Hickenlooper from Colorado would tell you the same thing. And so I think it's because we're bipartisan, number one, and we approach things from not from a political perspective, but from what's the right thing to do. What should be the proper role of government in the states and its relationship with the federal government.
So when you take a look at those issues that are affecting you, the common issues that you have, what is it that when you get together with the other governors, it's like, yeah, that is my number one issue right now that I probably share with you?
Well, we all face the same issue, and each chairman, each governor, as he takes over the chairmanship, has an initiative that he wants to go forward with, and then he invites all the other governors. There's 19 governors that are part of the Western Governors Association. Probably, I would say, 8 to 10 very active in the organization, and we then activate our members of Congress, our members of the United States Senate, and our members of the House of Representatives. And when we do that, it's generally on a bipartisan basis, that we think if you guys would help us do this on public lands, if you'd help us do this on water quality, if you'd help you on clean air, on management of forest fires and those sort of things, we can then engage and energize our delegations to Washington, D.C. to help us if it's a legislative action needs to be taken.
So here at the 2017 Western Governors meeting, you've got several members of the cabinet who are here. That's exactly what you're talking about, right?
Precisely.
Yeah. So what are those issues that you're talking to the cabinet about?
Well, first off, let me say, I don't believe that I've ever been to a Western Governors meeting that we haven't had 2, 3, 4 members of the president's cabinet. Even during the Obama administration, we always had whether it was the Department of Interior, U.S. Forest Service, HHS, education, transportation, we always had members of the cabinet out. And this has been no different, although I would tell you, under the Trump administration, the response has always been a lot more direct and a lot more positive. But the issues that we're talking about right now, 65%, 21 million acres of Idaho is public lands. And so, frankly, that's, like I said, about 65%. So I've got 2 cabinet directors that govern more land in Idaho than I do.
Wow. It's amazing.
And so I need to partner with them, and they need to partner with me because I'm the guy on the ground. in Idaho, and they do.
You know, when you take a look at states that have relatively small populations, rural states like Idaho,
1,700,000.
yeah, compared to, I mean, there are probably more than that many people in a lot of counties in California, right? So when you take
Towns.
a look, right, when you take a look at your state and basically business in your state, recently there was a survey that came out not too long ago that said that Idaho is, I think it was the third best state for small business.
Yeah,
Now, is that something that the state government does to, I mean, what can these other states take away from what you're doing in Idaho?
That report was either in the Volcker report, Thumbtack, or it was one of those periodicals that really concentrate on why is one state succeeding when another one is not. And I would tell you, because we allow the magic of the marketplace to work, we allow, to the extent possible, we keep from passing a bunch of new laws that are constantly changing the scene for businesses. And so small business in Idaho, which is the one you were referring to, that we were the third best in the nation, the result of that kind of action by us is why we have 2.9% unemployment in Idaho, why we have the largest percentage increase in personal income, the largest percentage increase in jobs created. In fact, we were at 2.8, but our last month we went up to 2.9, not because we were losing jobs, but because we had a lot more people came into the workforce. We have over 807,000 people now in the workforce.
And you said the population again is
1,700,000.
Yeah. So now you're coming to the end of your term as governor before too long. What's your biggest accomplishment when you look back on your years in the governor's mansion?
Probably getting us through the recession. You know, we had some tough decisions to make. My budget, my first budget in 2007, when unemployment in Idaho was at 2.9, you know, and that's considered full employment in most economies. But my first budget in 2007 was $3.2 billion. By 2010, my budget was $2.2 billion. So we had to make a lot of serious decisions, and one of them, in a partnership with the legislature, we decided we weren't going to raise taxes. That what we were going to do was we were going to look to government and look to where we could get the efficiencies in government, and we decided between what is nice and what is necessary. So what's the proper role of government? Those are the necessary things we're supposed to do. Our Constitution says that the state shall provide for a system of free, uniform, and thorough common public schools. So obviously education. The second part of that budget is the health and safety of the citizenry. That has to do with corrections and law enforcement. The third part of that budget is you got to help those folks that have an economic speed bump in their life at one time or another. That's HHS. And so that's exactly what we did. We made some tough cuts. We made some tough decisions. But by 2011, we had actually cut taxes in Idaho. 2012, we had actually cut taxes in Idaho by a total of $1.3 billion.
And what did that do to the state in spurring economic growth?
That's where we are. Well, we were at 9.7% unemployment. During the depth of the recession, I would say in 2009 or 10, we were at 9.7% unemployment. And
2.9.
And now it's 2.9.
So
a larger workforce.
Governor Butch Otter from the state of Idaho at the 2017 Western Governors Association meeting. Governor, when you look to the person who's going to succeed you as the governor of Idaho,
right,
what kind of advice do you offer as somebody coming into a job like this?
Well, I'm very fortunate there, Chris, and this is why. Senator Jim Risch, United States Senator Jim Risch, was my lieutenant governor my first 2 years of my first term as governor. He then ran for the Senate during midterm of his lieutenant governor and went to the United States Senate. And I got to appoint, the Constitution allows me to then appoint my own lieutenant governor. So I got to pick that person. I interviewed 27 people, but I got to pick that person. And so he's been with me for 9 years, right at my side. He's been in every leadership meeting, every Capital for a Day. I have this program called Capitals for a Day, and once a month I go out to some small community, and I take anywhere from 8 to 10 members of my cabinet. And we sat there, and the public comes in between 9 o'clock in the morning and 3 in the afternoon and yells at us or tells us what their problems are, and we try to solve those problems there that day. Brad Little has been part of every one of those meetings. He's been part of every leadership meeting, every cabinet meeting, been at my side for 9 years. And do we disagree on stuff? Yeah, we have. But those we kind of keep between ourselves. Well, that doesn't appear on the first 5 minutes of the radio show or on the headlines in the newspaper.
So now, when you were running, I understand there's a debate. There was a debate or something like that. Is that what we were talking about?
Oh yeah.
Earlier?
What you're talking about is my third running for my third consecutive term, and in the primary, we had 4 people running in the primary.
Pretty crowded.
For the governor's nomination, and I have to take you back to when I was running for Congress, and there was this one individual that runs annually. I mean, runs every election, and so he came on the set when I was running for the United States Congress, and was going to destroy the set. And this is a big guy. He's a strong
Television
guy.
set? This
This was a TV set, and it was a public debate.
And why was he going to destroy it?
Because he wasn't invited
gotcha.
to be in the debate.
So he just
and
kind of showed up.
He was one of the candidates, and he was stomping around insisting. And so we called a halt to everything, and I said, Harley, let's go outside for a little. Harley Brown's his name. Quite a colorful guy. He's a smart guy. And so we went outside, and I said, Harley, I will promise you this. If you will just let us go on with this debate tonight, I will never agree to another debate unless every candidate is invited, including you. Now, you don't have to show up, but you're going to have to be invited. And so what happened in the primary race for my third term was I made him invite every candidate, and Harley showed up, and so did Walt Bays, who was also running for governor. And it really turned into quite a colorful debate, to say the least. If you ever get a chance, just Google the 2014 debate, Idaho gubernatorial primary.
All right, we'll have to do that. Well, I want to thank Governor Butch Otter from the great state of Idaho in town in Phoenix for the 2017 Western Governors Association meeting. I wish you the best moving forward, and I know the people of Idaho thank you for your service as governor. So thank you.
Well, I want to thank you, Chris, and iHeart for the opportunity to tell Idaho's story.